What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. We are live at the Miami Hurricane team store. Huge weekend coming up. Of course, you got the game on Saturday, Sunday, big event here at the team store. You have an autograph signing that we'll be talking a lot about from 3 to 4 on Sunday. Major big names, as you can see here. We'll talk about that. Also going to break down the Ball State game with a Ball State expert, my man Collin from Ball State Football Talk. He gave us the latest on the team, where they stand, how they match up. A lot of big MAC upsets and near upsets last week. Northern Illinois taking down Notre Dame. Bowling Green taking Penn State to the wire. Don't want to see a repeat. We'll talk about what Ball State brings to the table. Ball State, a team that beat Northern Illinois last year, lost a very close game to Bowling Green. So got to be very careful here. But we'll talk about all that. First, I want to talk about some folks that you don't got to worry about. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. All right, so we're going to take you to the bank. Those of you who don't know, bank is a regular column I do on CanesInSight.com. Free, 7 million posts and counting. Best source for Miami Hurricane news on the internet. And then, of course, on this show, where I try to give you the latest on what's happening in recruiting from direct sources. Try to give you things before they happen and before they're reported more widely. So we're going to just go through position by position, see where we're at in recruiting. Obviously, a flurry of commits before the season. Season's happening. Recruiting's a little quiet, at least publicly. Mario and company are still working. So we'll just give you the latest position by position. Quarterback, you are looking at the same. Luke Nickel, he's the quarterback. Running back, same thing. Gerard Pringle is the running back. Wide receiver, could expect some news shortly, possibly this week, that'll impact the class in a positive way. So stay tuned for that. Dalen Upshaw committed, having a great senior season up in Alabama. Of course, the location, you always have to worry about guys like that, but there's a player Miami likes and would like to keep, and so far, so good. Tight end, Brock Schott, Luka Gilbert, same. Offensive line, this is a position where I could see some names coming in, potentially names going out. This is a position Miami is evaluating. Senior seasons very close. One name that Miami loves, Michael Carroll, IMG. They think this guy is a complete stud. He's originally from Pennsylvania. Played defense, played offense, has settled in at guard at IMG, and looks like a big-time player, a priority player that Mario would like to land. He's rated in the top 150 already. Could be a top 100, top 50 type player when it's all said and done. Super talented, 6'6", 315, super athletic, has all the traits. Mario has taken personal control of this recruitment. There's an in there with his camp, and Miami feels very good about the player, and they're going to push very hard to get him. He's visiting this week. Other names, which I can't report yet, in the mix in offensive line that Miami is looking at and working on, trying to push for. And again, they're constantly evaluating guys that are having good senior year seasons, evaluating guys that aren't doing what they need to do as seniors. And I can see this class looking different than it does right now in a few months. Now, one player that Miami's definitely going to try to keep in this offensive line class, S.J. Alafatuli. He was out the first couple games, missed the nationally televised ESPN game when they came down here to play St. Thomas Aquinas. I'm told that his first game back, he looked absolutely sensational, like a day one impact guy, a truly elite talent. Miami feels extremely good about Alafatuli as a player. They think he'll come in just like Mauanoa, just like Elijah Lofton from Bishop Gorman, and make an immediate impact based on what they've seen in his first game back from that minor injury. In terms of the defensive line, I could also see some movement here at defensive tackle. Derry Norris, we've talked about. He's someone that Miami really coveted when he committed to Georgia Tech. That was not a drop by any means. Miami wanted him. They were sad to lose him, but they didn't stop recruiting him, and he's having an outstanding senior year. This guy was a tight end and a linebacker, outside linebacker type earlier in his career, continued to grow physically, and now is a super explosive defensive tackle, had multiple sacks and tackles for loss early in the season. He's visiting this week, and Miami is pushing hard there. I've heard speculation that Miami would drop a guy like Micah Newton if they got Derry Norris. I'm told that's not true. They like what Micah Newton's doing as well as a senior. Dante Simpson, he's had some up and down performances, but his talent, his size, his upside, he's a very young player. I think Miami feels good there. They're going to continue to work Elijah Griffin. There was a report that he was coming and it was canceled. I'm told that, that visit was not something that Miami was planning on. So they're not sure how that kind of came up. But, Miami's recruiting him, and they'll continue to recruit him well. Defensive line wise, Herbert Scroggins, a guy that's having a very good senior year. Miami's very happy to get him. At the linebacker position, we know about Kellen Wiley, the Armwood kid. Miami values him extremely high. He's a very talented player. Gavin Nix, a lot of Michigan interest there. Miami feels good that they will be able to hold on to Gavin Nix. On the DB board, another position where I could see some movement in and out. But one name that's having a really, really good senior year, Jabari Antoine, the New Iberia, Louisiana defensive back. He's playing mostly quarterback, but he looks really good. He looks like an instant impact guy. Communication is great with him. Miami's going to continue to work on guys like DJ Pickett, Ben Hanks. They love Grayson Littleson, Clemson commit from Florida. He's having a great senior year. Some guys that are on the team right now that are doing very well that aren't getting a ton of attention because they're young, but their stock is rising. Talk about a guy like Robbie Washington, who made the transition to corner. He looks very good. That looks like it's going to be a good move. Chris Johnson developing very well as a pass catcher, doing very nice things in the passing game. Dylan Day, Popo Aguirre, guys that played last week look very good. And Frankie Tinalau played a ton of snaps last week, had a back injury as a freshman, now rounding into form, looking good at guard. There were some questions about Akeem Messidor because he had a couple two pressers that were canceled. I saw that there were reports. I am told that Akeem Messidor is fine and there'll be no issues with him. He's going to play and he's all good with Akeem Messidor. One thing I want to talk about, that is our friends here at the Hurricane Team Store. This is an event that you guys are going to want to know about. Sunday, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. after the Ball State game on Saturday. There's no Dolphins game on Sunday. Come out here, the Team Store, next to the Thesis Hotel, right in front of the University of Miami, for an autograph session with these guys right here. Pretty familiar names if you're looking at the video. Inez Cooper, the Malinois brothers, and the man himself, Ruben Bain. Elite players, elite human beings, to quote my man Mario Cristobal. They will be here at the Miami Hurricane Team Store for autographs. Bring your family. These are awesome events. Everybody who went last week to the event with Damon Martinez and Mish Powell was raving on our boards and on Twitter, showing pictures of their kids with these players. And they were just awesome, awesome kids, awesome young men. Really did a great job interacting with everybody. And the gear here is outstanding. If you use code INSIGHT20, this could be whether in person in the store or online on MiamiHTS.com. If you're out of town, you will get 20% off on numerous items that are on sale or that are not on sale. A lot of good stuff here at the Hurricane Team Store. Again, INSIGHT20 promo code, and you will get 20% off. And you come to the store. If you're here, come to the store on Sunday, get these autographs, get some discount gear with that INSIGHT20 code, and load up because this is the season. I'm watching right now. We got a big screen TV right here in the Miami Hurricane Team Store. I'm watching the Florida Gators get beat down by the Miami Hurricanes. Awesome environment. People coming in and out. It's Parents Week. students get 10% off. So just an awesome environment here at the Miami Hurricane Team Store. Got a special guest today, right? So we talked about recruiting. We talked a ton about the Canes and who we think is going to be player of the game and do well. I think Mish Powell was my pick. But now we got to learn a little about Ball State. What does Ball State bring to the table? On paper, this was an offense that was terrible last year, a defense that was very good. They bring back a lot of the offense. They lose a lot of the defense. What is this team? Got an FCS game, first game. Hard to really read too much from them. How do they stack up with Northern Illinois, who they beat last year, or Bowling Green, who took Penn State to the peak and who they took to the end last year? We will talk to Collin from Bowling Green Football Talk, the foremost expert on the internet. I looked. There's not a ton of there's not a ton of Ball State stuff out there. Collin is the guy at Ball State Football Talk. So we will check him out right now. Go Canes. All right, we are here with the foremost expert on Ball State football. That is Collin from Ball State Football Talk on Twitter. Not a lot of Ball State stuff. I was searching for YouTube highlights and different kind of things, man. But you were the guy with the most info. So appreciate you joining us and tell us a little bit about Ball State Football Talk.
For sure. Thanks for having me. I started Ball State Football Talk maybe a couple of years ago. I was looking for more information on Ball State. They didn't have it. There's one other guy covering the team unofficially. I think it's Sidelines Ball State. So I just took it upon myself just as a fan, just to do my best just to cover the team, get the information I can, make the connections with the people who know the most, make connections with players, and just try to piece something together and give the best information I can to everybody else.
Well, listen, man, we're happy to have you. And, this game's being taken a lot more seriously, I think, by Canes fans after what we saw with Northern Illinois beating Notre Dame, Bowling Green almost beating Penn State. Northern Illinois, a team that Ball State beat last year. Bowling Green went down to the wire. But within the conference, it looks like aside from that COVID year where you guys finished ranked, Mike New has not had a ton of winning seasons. Where's the fan base? Where's the feeling of Ball State community with respect to the program and Mike New?
Yeah, for sure. So his best year was 2020. During COVID, we won the MAC, and then we won a bowl game. And so after that year, hopes were high. We still had Drew Plitt coming back, I believe. And in 2021, we ended the season 6-6, and then had a bowl game, and we lost the bowl game. So we ended that season under 500. And ever since then, it's been a steady decline. The next year after that, I think we were 5-7, and then the next year after that, we were 4-8, and then here we are.
And what do you think is, just in terms of your opinion and also people around the program, what's the biggest sort of complaint about the program or thought about the program as to what needs to change and where you guys might be struggling?
Yeah, I think you touched on it a little bit with Mike New. He's been here, I think, 7 or 8 years. His clock is ticking. His seat's getting warmer. There was some discussion last year if he was going to be replaced. I don't know that Ball State had the buyout money to be able to buy him out that early. But now we're at a position where next year's his last year on the contract. We're not going to have a lame duck coach. We're either going to have a good season, re-sign him, or we're going to have a bad season, and he's probably out of there. I'm hopeful he stays. He seems like a good guy, but the biggest complaint we've had really from fans, I think, is our usage of Kyle Kelly. He was our backup quarterback last year. He got snaps in all 12 games. In the final 6 games he started, we went 3-3, but we lost one game against Miami of Ohio, who ended up being the MAC champs by a missed field goal. And then we lost to Toledo 13-6. So there was some close losses in there. He's really dynamic. And what we've done this year is we've replaced him from the offense and we put him on defense. But unfortunately, when the depth chart came out, he was second string corner. And so we haven't really seen a lot of him on defense. We were told at the MAC gathering in Detroit that he would be used in packages on offense as well, and he'd be kick returning and punt returning. I haven't seen any kick returning or punt returning as of last week. His first week, he did get 2 snaps on offense, but it was very simple stuff, just RPO kind of plays where they just, did a quarterback draw almost. And, that's not going to cut it. We need something inventive. We don't use a lot of motion. Unfortunately, it seems like they're not using him correctly.
And what number is he? So Canes fans can watch out if they see him on the
Definitely.
offense side.
Kyle Kelly is number 1 on the team.
Got it. And looking at the stats last year, which I understand different season, it looked like Ball State struggled quite a bit on offense, passing the ball. Just basically all the offensive stats in the passing game were on the low end. Defensively, looked like a better team, way better than average in a lot of categories. I know there's been transition, guys left. Where do you see the strengths and weaknesses of this Ball State team?
Yeah, definitely the strength has switched, I think, to offense. A lot of our defensive guys are gone. Our best returner is Keontae Newsome. He's a linebacker, and before the season, he said he wants 120 tackles. I believe in the last game, he only had 6 tackles, so he should be hungry this upcoming week. As for our offense, our highlights are definitely the new running back, the incoming running back, Braden Sloan. He was a transfer from, I want to say, Eastern Kentucky. And he had over 100 yards last week, 6 receptions for 46 yards. Our quarterback can kind of move a little bit. We did have some incoming transfers on offense. We had Trey Firestone from Purdue, who unfortunately got injured last week. And our transfer from last year, Ty Robinson, who came in from Colorado after Deion Sanders came in, he was injured last year. And then our first game, he also last week was injured as well. So we do have a couple people on, probably going to be on IR. Defensively, I think our strengths, besides our linebackers and Keontae Newsome and Joey Stemler, who had an interception last week, he really impressed me, I think will be our sniper, George Udo, who was a transfer from BYU in Cincinnati. I like Miles Norwood as our cornerback, who's a transfer from Iowa State. And the last guy that I really think to look out for is our safety, D.D. Sanders, who was a transfer from Illinois.
So in terms of the way the offense operates, is this like a very spread out type of attack, more old school power? How would you describe the offensive philosophy and identity?
That's tough. Last year we had Marquez Cooper, who I believe leads the NCAA in rushing currently, and he was a big part of our offense. He had over 1,000 yards. And then when the last 6 games we had Kyle Kelly and Marquez Cooper starting, it was mostly a rush attack, and it was rather successful. But in the last 6 games we had 1,412 yards rushing. So we lost Marquez Cooper to San Diego State. This year, I want to say we're going to pass it more because last year we were hampered by kind of subpar quarterback play. We had transfer John Paddock. His claim to fame, I believe, was being recruited by Nick Saban. Then he kind of bounced around to teams before he came here as a graduate senior. He was all right, maybe a little bit lackluster. He had no mobility. So our first 4 games, we started Caden Simonza, who's our quarterback right now. He was redshirted after that, but he got some good quality playing time in big schools at like Kentucky. And then he played at Georgia. So he shouldn't be too scared of a little bit of noise. Unfortunately, with John Paddock, he came in afterwards, and then we were kind of subpar again. Once Kyle Kelly came in, we had a little bit more juice. But this year with Caden Simonza, I was thinking we were going to pass a lot more. We have a lot more receivers, I think. Cam Pickett, I really like. He's been kind of buried in our depth chart. We were storing him away for 2 years. He's back. He had 7 receptions, 69 yards last week. But other than that, our really only passing threat is Tanner Koziel, 6 receptions, 60 yards. He's been our tight end for a while, but last year he transferred to Louisville and then decided to come back. So I'm not really sure. It's going to be a balanced attack. Braden Sloan looks impressive so far. I think he's a good back. I'm just not sure how balanced we're going to be, or if we're going to be more passing or more running. If you would have asked me last week, I would have told you more passing. But we have 2 wide receivers now, and Ty Robinson, who was starting, as well as Trey Firestone, transfer from Purdue, who've been injured. So it's kind of a toss-up. I'm not 100% sure how the offense is going to look this week. It could go either way.
Now, you guys only played 1 game against an FCS opponent, so hard to know exactly what this team is as far as this year's version. But having seen Northern Illinois pull that upset on Notre Dame, seen Bowling Green, what they did with Penn State, is there optimism amongst fans about what could happen in this game? Is there a sense of dread, uncertainty? How was the mood of Ball State heading into this game from a fan base perspective?
I just think we want to get in there, play a clean game, don't get embarrassed, don't get injured, and come home. Last year, starting the season at Kentucky, one of our best tight ends last year, but our best tight end this year, took a helmet-to-helmet hit. He fumbled. They returned it for a touchdown. He wasn't the same for the rest of the season. So stuff like that is stuff I think I'm most concerned about. I don't want anybody injured, anyone valuable to get hurt. I just think I don't know that there's a ton of optimism for a win. We'd love a close game. I'd love a win, but I don't know if it's possible. Cam Ward looks dangerous.
What did you think? I don't know if you got a chance to see the Northern Illinois game and the Bowling Green game. I know I'm dwelling on those, but because those opened my eyes, because again, you guys beat Northern Illinois last year, very close against Bowling Green. What do you think allowed those MAC teams to perform at such a level against top 10 competition on the road?
Yeah, Bowling Green is incredible. I mean, even last year they were doing some stuff that was surprising to me as a MAC fan. And I am mostly a Ball State fan, but I live in South Bend, so I'm a Notre Dame fan as well. I did watch the game. Unfortunately, I love Marcus Freeman. I think he's a great coach, but we do have a tendency to give up a game to people that we shouldn't be giving up a game to. I don't know what this is about. It didn't happen with Brian Kelly. It's alarming for Notre Dame fans, but NIU is a gritty team. Even before this season, I wasn't super impressed with their coach. I didn't think their coach was that great, but what he showed me in the last week, he made me eat crow. So, I don't know how much that will impact Ball State or even motivate them. I hope it does, but I'm really not sure because I think this is a whole other beast. Notre Dame is great. They'll always be solid. They'll always be top 10 to 20, somewhere in there at least. But I don't know that they're as good as Miami this year. I definitely don't think so.
Listen, Collin, man, appreciate you. It's not easy to find Ball State expertise. So again, appreciate you joining us. Ball State Football Talk on Twitter. If you guys want to do some extra homework, he's got a ton of stuff on there, clips, retweeting people, putting his own stuff out there. So again, that was very helpful for me in my prep. Appreciate you, Collin, and hope everybody stays healthy and have a fun time here on Saturday.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this an insight to the Canes, and you know we ain't playing no games. Joaquin said dominate, so that's what we do. Home of the legends and 7th floor crew, down in Miami where hurricanes brew. You here for the rumors, we bring you the news, cause it's all about the you. And nobody do it like CanesInSight. 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 It's CanesInSight.